In only about 5,800 days, Bitcoin is now the eighth largest asset in the world, without a government, army, or company, just regular people like us who choose to use it. That doesn't happen unless it solves something deeply broken in our world today. The problem is, most families feel like something is off, but have no idea what's actually broken. And that ignorance isn't neutral. It quietly costs people years of effort, decades of compounding, and sometimes even the future they thought they were building. I know this because Bitcoin is how my family can keep adventuring while still building wealth for the long term. But after talking to dozens of people all over the world, virtually no one gets it yet. So give me 6 minutes and I hope you finally understand Bitcoin. And it starts with one simple thought. If I asked you to explain how Wi-Fi works, you probably couldn't. I definitely can't. If our modem light turns red, my troubleshooting starts and ends with turning it off and on. But that doesn't stop us from using it, and it doesn't stop it improving our lives. Bitcoin is the same. You don't need to understand the technology, you just need to understand the problem it solves and how that affects your life. Once you see this next idea, you won't look at money the same way again. Imagine giving your child an ice cream cone, then saying, "Don't eat it, save it for later." It doesn't matter how responsible they are or how careful they try to be, even if they try and go and stand in the shade, it still melts. Not because they failed, because that's what ice cream does. And that's what most people are doing with their currency. They're trying to store years of hard work inside something that melts over time. Most people think the problem is they don't earn enough, or maybe they don't save hard enough. But the real problem is that when more currency is created, each unit of currency becomes worth less. That's the melt. People don't notice it day to day, they feel it over years. About 7% a year on average based on the US dollar M2 currency supply. Just look at how much value the US dollar has lost to gold over the years. So parents adapt. They become part-time investors and move their savings into homes, stocks, gold, anything scarcer than cash. Not because they want to, because they have to. We already have enough on our plate managing our adorable but often emotional little humans. So if you've ever felt like you're doing everything right but still falling behind, you're not failing, you're using a tool that's mathematically working against you. But here's the deeper issue. Homes aren't meant to be money. Stocks aren't meant to be money. Art isn't meant to be money. They're useful things, but they were never designed to store everyone's savings. When they get used that way, things get distorted. Housing becomes unaffordable, markets become unstable, risk becomes unavoidable. So what should good money actually look like? It should be hard to destroy, hard to create more of, easy to carry, easy to divide, easy to verify, and trusted by many people. Throughout history, gold fit these properties better than anything else. That's why civilizations used it. Gold is rare, gold lasts, gold is trusted. For a long time, humanity actually solved money. That is, until it quietly broke. Gold doesn't work well in a digital world. You can't easily send it, you can't easily divide it, and you can't store large amounts of it safely at home. So people put it in banks and use paper and digital claims on that gold instead, which works until it doesn't. Because now you're not trusting gold anymore, you're trusting institutions. And in 1971, the US ended the ability to convert dollars into gold. From that point on, money became backed by trust alone, and every major currency has steadily lost purchasing power since. Now think again about Bitcoin. Eighth largest asset in the world, achieved in just 16 years, chosen voluntarily by millions of people, outperforming every other asset on Earth by a long shot. That starts to make sense, because for the first time, we have something that keeps gold's strengths, but removes its weaknesses. Bitcoin is rare, hard to break, easy to send, easy to divide, easy to verify, possible to hold yourself. No bank required, no permission required, no one can print more. That exact combination has never existed before. That's why adoption keeps growing, whether we like it or not. Now here's where it gets serious. People are using houses as savings, stocks as savings, gold as savings, not because they were designed for that, but because their currency failed. That means a huge amount of value exists inside these assets, not because they deserve it, but because people are trying to store their value anywhere better than cash. The extra value is called the monetary premium, and it's estimated at around $450 trillion worldwide. For decades, it had nowhere better to go. But now, for the first time, there is an asset designed specifically for the job. So instead of being scattered everywhere, that value begins to concentrate. Bitcoin today is worth about $2 trillion. That sounds large until you compare it to the hundreds of trillions currently used as store of value elsewhere. If Bitcoin absorbs that over time, that implies not a slightly bigger asset than today, but something 200 times larger or more in today's dollars. That's not a prediction, it's just what happens when a superior asset starts replacing weak ones. If our currency is ice cream that melts, most other assets are like ice in the fridge, and Bitcoin is like a block of ice in a freezer in cyberspace. This is where it becomes personal for me. If I trade hours of my life for income, hours away from my family, I want those hours to still matter later. Under inflationary currency, your effort quietly decays over time. Same work, less freedom, fewer options. Under better money, your effort can compound instead. 1 hour of work buys more hours later, and that changes everything. How you plan, how you work, how you think about the future. Every family is already storing value somewhere, in cash, in property, stocks, savings accounts. You're already in the system. The real question is simple. Is the thing you're using protecting your time or erasing it? And do you actually own it, or are you just holding a paper promise that will get tested when pressure hits the system? Fewer than 1% of people truly understand what Bitcoin is. We're still early, not 2012 early, but early like the internet was in the late 90s. If you want to see what this looks like in real numbers, I built a simple free calculator. It shows what consistent small amounts saved in Bitcoin can grow into over time, even as little as $1 a day. You'll find it in the description. If you want to go deeper, click here next.